Britain, Britain, Britain. It's home to steak and kidney pie, the world's most diverse royal family, and a history of world domination that would make Dr. Robotnik blush. Yes, for some time, this small little island just off the coast of the European mainland dominated the globe and pretty much turned it into that kidney pie we were talking so much about. But the country isn't just colonialization and forcing people to work without paying them. No. It's also home to a spankingly brand new Prime Minister, Mr. Boris Johnson, the man, the myth, the dumpster fire. It is truly remarkable that the long road of British history defined by its fabled kings, illustrious queens, its centuries marred in warfare and bloodthirsty conquests, the small island nation surrounded by larger and more powerful enemies, was always up to tackle any challenge. Well, perhaps other than dental hygiene.
Let's look at a picture book. The big book of British smiles.
Its steadfast ability to rise into the evil global colonial superpower was in large part due to its leadership. Bloodthirsty, inbred and racist as they may have been, these rulers have always accomplished their tasks with an air of dignity befitting the English upper class. It is now in 2019 that long history of dignified leaders has finally found its most unlikely of champions. But don't take our word for it, take it from the man himself. My chances of being PM are about as good as the chances of finding Elvis on Mars or my being reincarnated as an olive. Suddenly we understand why Elon Musk is so fascinated with landing on Mars. A man renowned for his homophobia, his transphobia, his racism, his xenophobia, basically anything awful a human being can be, he is. But you also get a slice of complete and utter ineptitude, as he is horrible at any job he tries and has been fired for his particular lack of skills. But hey, don't take our word for it. Let's celebrate the beginning of the end by letting Boris present himself to the world.
It's time to get the hell out of Dodge.
He's often been accused of running from difficult questions.
You're sackable, Foreign Secretary.
He spoke out against a campaign to boycott the country's goods.
I reject completely the suggestion by some corduroy-jacketed, snaggle-toothed lefty academics. I can't put any more garlands on.
Although I know it's your birthplace.
Back in 2015, he met possible future American President Hillary Clinton on a trip to New York, a woman about whom he had written this in a newspaper column in 2007. She's got dyed blonde hair, pouty lips and a steely blue stare, like a sadistic mental health nurse. And you went on to say she represents everything I came into politics to oppose.
Well, as I'm sure you'll accept, the senator's a very distinguished politician. I'm sure she will take those words in the light-hearted spirit in which they were intended and written. Will you have a cup of tea?
Will you apologise for your
Would you
comment?
like a cup of tea?
Yeah, sure.
Go on, have a cup of tea.
Thank you. Do you regret? Do you
Would you
regret,
like a cup of tea?
Do you regret your comments? Do you regret your comments?
Go on, have a cup of tea.
Thank you very much.
There you go. I'm going to go now to George Barker of the Financial Times, or Mon Journal Préféré, as Jacques Delors used to say.
Thank you.
Cannot sell bananas in bunches of more than 2 or 3 bananas. You cannot sell bananas with abnormal curvature of the fingers.
Because the Assembly members have decided they have no questions
want to scrutinise.
put to you.
Are you saying they're abdicating their duty to scrutinise me? Are you saying they haven't the guts to put questions to me? Great supine protoplasmic invertebrate jellies. Supine protoplasmic invertebrate jellies. Kipper. He has had his costs massively increased by Brussels bureaucrats who have insisted that each kipper must be accompanied by a plastic ice pillow.
2 water cannon. Why are they still not being used?
Well, because we haven't had any cause to use them.
Are they licensed?
Without delay.
Are they licensed?
They are wonderful water cannons.
Are they licensed?
They are fully operational. Our police officers
I think this is the 4th time. Are they licensed?
They are not licensed at the moment.
So they're illegal to use at the moment?
Now, what are you asking here? It's perfectly true that I have had some drugs.
Have you?
You
haven't got any on you, have you?
No. invented on the dining tables of England, ladies and gentlemen, in the 19th century. It was called whiff-waff. And there I think you have the essential difference between us and the rest of the world. Other nations, the French, looked at a dining table and saw an opportunity to have dinner. We looked at a dining table and saw an opportunity to play whiff-waff.
The UK's tallest sculpture, a steel totem to Boris Johnson.
It features the world's longest tunnel slide at 178 metres long. Boris's idea, and was meant to raise £1.2 million a year to pay for the upkeep of the Olympic Park. Instead, it cost the taxpayer 10k a week.
The time the election, rather not the next election, we never know whether that will come. But many times before, and I've used all sorts of expressions to describe what is the impossibilia, the adjunita. It is not going to happen. It is more likely that, as I say, I will be reincarnated as an olive, or knocked in a disused fridge, or decapitated by a flying frisbee. Guys, but I explain. I think people need to understand.
It's not great language, though, is it? It's not really prime ministerial language, is it?
That's for others to judge.
Did you feel bad about it? You didn't even feel bad about it.
I felt it was. What I think that the problem with the Irish backstop is very accurately. The problem with the words. I stand by what I said.
You didn't feel bad.
I stand by what I said.
Okay, what about Burgess? Did you feel bad about that?
I stand by what I say.
It would appear, who are no fans of Mr. Johnson. Next to the 2 parking tickets was a professional-looking sign visible on his car windscreen, saying we'd rather endure him as our neighbour than our Prime Minister.
Boris bikes, probably his most recognisable policy in all of the city, and it now covers most of its centre. It was meant to cost the taxpayer nothing, but we ended up paying more than £200 million for it over the course of Johnson's mayoralty, making the scheme the most expensive of its kind in the whole world.
What do you do to relax? What do you do to switch off?
I like to paint, or I make things. I like to...
What do you make?
I have a thing where I make models of... when I was in London, well, Mayor of London, we built a beautiful... I make buses.
You make models of buses?
I make models of buses.
So they're going to be in Downing Street?
So what I do... No, what I don't make models of buses, but what I make is... I get old, I don't know, wooden crates.
Yeah.
Right? And then I paint them. And they have two suppose it's a box that's been used to contain two wine bottles, right?
Right.
And it will have a dividing thing.
Yeah.
And I turn it into a bus, and I put passengers. You really want to know this?
You're making buses.
I said, what's your problem?
I think he's got every chance of winning, and I have to say, you know, one of the, I'm afraid, big faults at the moment in this whole debate is the lack of scrutiny of Boris Johnson, who is very likely to become the Prime Minister of this country in a matter of weeks. Why aren't we asking, does he still think that gay people should be called bum boys? Does he still think that equal marriage should be compared to 3 men marrying a dog? Does he still believe that black people should be called pickaninnies with watermelon smiles? Does he still think that it's acceptable to compare Muslim women to bank robbers and to letterboxes? Why should we trust somebody who was sacked twice for dishonesty, once by his newspaper and once by a Conservative leader? Is somebody who once conspired with a criminal friend to beat up a journalist fit for high office? Is somebody who wrote one column supporting Remain and another column supporting Leave, is that somebody who's driven by anything else other than his own career? We're not talking about these discussions, and I could go on, by the way, the fact that senior Conservative aides say that when he was in meetings, he couldn't concentrate, he wasn't briefed, he was an embarrassment, one of them said. One career diplomat described serving under him as Foreign Secretary as the only time he was embarrassed to represent his own country. But we're not having this discussion because all too often, I'm afraid to say, and I speak as somebody who has worked in the British media now for the best part of a decade, Boris Johnson is treated as a bit of a circus, a bit of a joke, a bit of a laugh, but he is somebody who has peddled racism, he's serially dishonest, he's a charlatan, but we're not having that conversation because, again, and it's worth emphasising this, if you are from a posh background, you can more or less get away with anything in this country.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We reap what we sow. This is our future. This is our cartoonish reality, and hell hath no fury, like those who sought to replace Cameron with May, and then May with Johnson. We are truly and completely
Did you enjoy what you just watched and now crave more Nectar of the Damned? Did you know that if you're watching on YouTube, you're only getting half the surfy experience? We upload all of our content commercial and censorship free to our Patreon. Due to the general demonetization of our videos, we now upload half of our original content directly to those who can help us produce this show. Want even more nectar than that? Well, come join us at twitch.tv/TheSerfsTV, where we do weekly live streams, debates, interviews, AMAs, and more. If you're an Amazon Prime member, you can help support our show 100% free by subscribing to our Twitch channel. So come join us, be merry, and know that your support is helping us do great things. Like pay rent and eat. Our quote this week comes from Aelith Twain, who says, "Elected officials are manufactured personalities and celebrities, or we are only permitted to take emotional stands on issues that do not affect corporate power." By Bertram M. Gross, Friendly Fascism, the New Face of Power in America.